Hello and welcome back. It's season 2 of the Suffolk Pod Show. Thank you so much for joining us on this episode. And don't forget, you can subscribe to the show for free through your favourite podcast directory or from our website.
Suffolk Pod Show is produced and managed by podtalkuk.co.uk. I'm Marc Mason.
And I'm Zanna Hornby. Episode 44, it's Rob Jarvis, actor, TV and voiceover star. Welcome, Robbie. It is so good to have you on the Suffolk Pod Show.
It's a pleasure to be here. Nice to talk to you again. How's things?
Yep, things are great, actually. Busy, but absolutely fantastic. And how about with you?
Yes, not bad, thanks. Yeah, been a nice little flurry of work recently, which is always good. So, yes, it's all good this end. All
Excellent.
Good this end, yeah.
Oh, it's good to hear. I don't really know where to start with you because we have got a long list of things we want to talk to you about.
Right.
Yeah, of course. Not just, Hustle and the legendary character of Eddie Emmerdale, but also other work that you're doing, life in Suffolk and your plans for the future. So why don't we just start right at the beginning? Good place to go?
Okay, yeah.
Tell us, how did you first get into acting?
Well, I had a lot of... my dad was a very keen amateur actor, and I think he wanted to be a professional when he was younger, but at the time, in the 50s, there wasn't the money around, to support that. But he was very involved in sort of local amateur theatre and stuff, and he sort of hooked me in to do that, and I sort of got into that through there. And then I was at school. I didn't really get on very well at school. I didn't enjoy school. And I went to a tech college to do A-levels, a creative arts course that was run by a fellow called Jeff Wild, who he's one of those teachers that people have that suddenly change your life, and he did that for me. He encouraged me to get on the course. The school hadn't even told me that this course existed. And it was a place called Withens Lane. It was in the Wirral Metropolitan College, and it was absolutely brilliant, this course. It completely changed my life, the way I looked at things. Well, you weren't under the sort of school umbrella, all that horrible formality and uniform. And so that was a real sort of turning point for me going on that course. But at the time as well, I was very interested in music. So this was sort of very early 80s, 1981, around that time. And I'd been very involved in the punk movement since I was far too young to, really. And because that was another life-changing thing that happened for me. So I got into music in that way, and I learned how to play the guitar, and was in a punk band and stuff. And at the time, 16 years old, I was very sort of interested in music as well. So it was almost a toss-up, really, for me, which way I was going to go, But anyway, I decided that I was going to go to drama school. Yeah, so I went to a place called Rose Bruford Drama School, which at the time, so this is 1983. I went there. At the time, there was that and Bretton Hall. They were the only two drama schools that were offering degree courses. And our local authority, Wirral Local Authority, God bless them, they were notoriously bad at giving out grants for drama schools. So being a degree, it was a mandatory award. So I was tied into the direction I was going to go in terms of drama schools. But I went to Bruford and I had a great time. And I met a lot of really great people and really enjoyed the course there, 3-year course. And it got introduced to, through that, Glenn Walford, who was running the Everyman Theatre in Liverpool at the time. And she came in and directed a final production that we did, which was The Sea by Edward Bond. It's a really good play, set in the east of England, weirdly enough. And at the time at the Everyman, there was an awful lot of actor-musicians shows going on there. Right. Yeah. And because she knew I played the guitar, she got me my first audition, which was for the Everyman. And I got the job. And because at the time that meant I got my equity card as well, which was a big leap at the time, because it was in the days of the closed shop, which meant that you had to get your equity card before you could work. And that was a provisional equity card, and it meant you had to do I think it was 30 weeks.
Right.
paid work on your provisional card before you got your full card, which meant that you could then do TV and film and West End theatre. So you couldn't do those on a provisional card. So I've got an awful lot to thank the Everyman for as well, because these little life-changing moments. And the Everyman was certainly one of them. And indirectly, sort of via Liverpool Theatre anyway, because I then went on to work at the Playhouse there as well. That's where I first met Pete Rowe, oddly enough.
Oh, right.
Back in it would have been about 88, I think. We did a fantastic show at the Playhouse called Bebop-A-Lula about Gene Vincent and Eddie Cochran when they toured Britain in 1960. And weirdly in that, I played Joe Brown, who was, tall, 6-foot Cockney Joe Brown with a blonde spiky hair. So I played him. It was hilarious. I had stacked great cowboy boots on with lifts inside. I had this bleached hair. It took about 4 bleachings because my hair, if you can remember what my hair was like.
Of course we can.
At one time, but it's very little of it now. I tell you, it looks like a Malteser you've left in your pocket. Sorry. So I played Joe with this Cockney accent, and it was great, and we had the best time on this show. And we had Drew Schofield playing Gene Vincent, a fellow called Tim Whitnell, who's done quite well for himself. He was playing Eddie Cochran, and a great cast with people like Mickey Stark and Davey Edge and Paul Codman, and we really had a great time on that. And so we're still mates, and we get that band together once a year. Of course, we couldn't do it last year. And we play the songs from the show, not with Tim Whitnell, with a fellow called Martin Glyn Murray, who took over from Tim Whitnell in the show to play Eddie Cochran. And we do a gig at the Cavern, the charity gig, every November. So one's coming up on the 21st of November. So if anyone finds themselves in Liverpool and wants to see a bit of rock and roll and a bit of Merseybeat music down at the Cavern on Matthew Street, it's there from 3 o'clock on the 21st.
Oh, that sounds absolutely...
So it was great. But I sort of got locked into that. It's quite difficult. I mean, the industry very much likes to pigeonhole people, I did various bits of West End theatre and stuff. I did a great show actually called The Baker's Wife, which I had to play a little bit of guitar in, and that got me the job. At the time, I was doing Little Shop of Horrors with Pete Rowe at the London Bubble. And then this audition came in for Trevor Nunn, to do a show called The Baker's Wife, which was this musical that I hadn't heard of. I was working with Pete at the time. I thought, I haven't got a chance of getting this. This is ridiculous. This is proper grown-up stuff, It's Trevor Nunn, and he's a grown-up, isn't he? And and I was doing a spit. So they wanted me to come along and audition for this show, and they wanted me to do a speech, a modern speech, and play a little bit of guitar and sing a song. So I thought, I'm just going to have a laugh here because there's no way I'm going to get it. So the speech I decided I'd do was the play I was doing with Pete at the time, along with Little Shop of Horrors, was a play called The Cabaret of Dr. Caligari. And I was playing this young thug in it. And I had this massive monologue in it about a lift filling up full of urine as I was standing in it. So I thought, I'll do that just for a laugh, Yeah, I went along and I did that speech, and I could see Trevor, in his inscrutable sort of smiling way that he has. And I thought, I haven't got a chance of that. And then, and I got the job, and we did. So we rehearsed that for a very long time because it was a problem show. It had been in the States before.
Right.
And it had never quite worked on Broadway. And so we had the writers. We had Stephen Schwartz, who wrote the music, and we had Joe Stein, who wrote the book, and they were with us throughout the whole rehearsal process.
Wow.
I mean, I didn't really realise at the time. I knew Joe Stein because he'd written Fiddler on the Roof, So anyway, they were there, and we rehearsed it for a long time, and then we opened at the Wolsey in Ipswich as we did a sort of 4-week. I suppose you'd call them previews, really.
Yeah.
So we did 4 weeks of and it was great, and it worked so well at the Wolsey. And then we took it into the West End, and it died a million deaths. You know? We were at the Phoenix Theatre, and it did a very short. I think we ran for about 6 weeks, and then it closed, which was a shame. But so and that was just after I'd worked with Pete, which we had a fantastic summer with the London Bubble, doing Little Shop of Horrors and other stuff, and it was great. It was great fun. But I got locked into this music, and I ended up doing this show about Roy Orbison, which we don't particularly need to go into that show, but I was in it for quite a long time. And we toured it forever, and then we ended up in the West End, and it kept renegotiating the contract. And in my contract, I had a betterment clause, which usually means if you get offered a better job in terms financially, then you can go and do it. But I got offered. I'd become quite good friends with Kathy Burke at the time, and she was
how lovely.
And she was directing a fantastic play. Yeah, Kathy had become quite a good pal. We all drank in the same pub in Islington together, which was a little theatre pub. It was called it's the Old Red Lion in Islington. There's a lot of good theatre stuff. And I'd become quite friendly with Kathy and all that crowd. And she was directing a play called Boom Banga Bang, a Jonathan Harvey play. And she said to me, she said she'd like me to be in it. And so I went to Bill Kenwright, and fair play to him. He said, yeah, okay, you can go, even though I was taking, a substantial pay cut. But working at the Bush, which is where the show was on, the old Bush that was above the pub in Shepherd's Bush, which is was a fantastic theatre to work at. Yeah, you get a lot of telly people come in there. You get a lot of casting directors and stuff, and so from there I got into. I started doing a lot more telly work. Right. Okay. And that marked another change. So So that was your natural movement from, if you like, musical theatre through into a whole new genre for you. Had you done any television before, or was this your first step? I'd done bits and pieces. I'd done an episode of Casualty. I'd done The Bill, all the usual sort of ones. And then there was a casting director called Di Carling she was brilliant, and she sort of she would get me in for a lot of things. She'd seen the show, and she'd get me into for things. And then I got a part in a show called Out of the Blue, which is one of those series that you think, I've got no idea why this series didn't run for longer. It was just one episode I had of it, but it was a really good series. It had a great cast. What was it about? It was a police thing, Right, it was a police thing, but it had a great. Dave Morrissey was in it. Lenny James. These were the regulars in it. Orla Brady was in it, and John Deteen was in it. It was really good, and it was a sort of surprise that it didn't go any further. But I did an episode of that, which I loved. It was great. But there was a director on that show who didn't direct the episode I was in, but he directed a lot of the other ones, and he'd seen it and sort of liked what I'd done in it, and then he started to use me a lot. And again, weirdly, he's a Suffolk boy. Right. Okay. His name's Sam Miller, and he's gone on to really great things. Sam, he's doing so well, and he's since become a friend. And he got me in my first film, which was a film called Among Giants, which we had to play these pylon painters in Yorkshire. So it was a really good cast. It had Pete Fossil, the guy in it, and lovely. And then there was we played this gang in it, and there was me and Lenny James and Andy Serkis, and I think I saw it. It was out a few years ago. It sort of didn't. It was written by Simon Beaufoy, and it was shot just after he'd written The Full Monty. So we're all thinking, oh great, this is going to be a big hit, and it wasn't really. But it was a great job and a great experience. But it was pretty hairy being up. I was going to say, you didn't actually have to sit up the pylons. Yeah, we did. Yeah, we had to go on a training course to the National Grid in Worksop of all places, and we got put into twos. And there was me and Alan Williams, who's a great actor, and we got put together, and we got up these pylons. And I'm saying to Sam, the director, Sam, mate, whatever you want, I'll be up and down them, like in no time, no problem. So we get on this training course, me and Alan Williams, we get halfway up a pylon and shit ourselves. Absolutely terrified. Absolutely terrified. I want to go down. I want to come down now. So that was a bit of a, but we did it in the end, and it was a great experience.
Yeah.
It was and then Sam, he's used me in lots of other stuff since then.
Yeah.
He gets me in when he can. It's he got me that. I don't know if you saw that episode of Luther that I did, but he got me
Yes.
that part, and that was just the best telly job for me. I just loved it. It was such a great character. He was such an evil gat, and it was so well shot. I mean, I think he's such a good director, Sam. And it's always good playing the evil.
Yeah, is it? I was going to ask you that.
Yeah, I love it. I love it because it can't be called vanilla, can it? Really, you've got to jump in with both feet, really, on those ones. And it was, and of course, working with Nick Walker, she was just brilliant. And weirdly, so I did that job, and then I did another job thanks to Sam called Gorilla, which again was an Idris Elba thing, but I never met him on either of these jobs. I never met him on Luther.
Oh, didn't you? Okay.
No, we shot it over at Christmas time, and in that particular episode, his character was refined to not refined. What's the word? He had to stay in the police station. He couldn't. Yeah,
confined.
He wasn't allowed out.
Yeah.
Confined to barracks, if you were. So he never got out and saw me being a naughty boy. But I bumped into him at a voiceover a few weeks ago at something in a studio in London.
Yeah.
And, I went, so we had a little chat. It was nice to meet him finally. After working with him endlessly and never meeting him. But it was, but that was again.
I do wonder that, Robbie, when you watch something and you can see that people are clearly shot in different scenes, you never meet.
Yeah. Well, they did say that, didn't they, about De Niro and Pacino in Heat, that film Heat.
Did they?
Because that was the only film that they'd done together. Well, it was a film since The Godfather 2. Right. And then they were these two sort of main characters. Obviously, Pacino was the cop and De Niro was the crook, And they never met in the scene, apart from one scene.
Right.
And then they're sitting in a cafe talking to each other.
That's it.
But you never see them in a two-shot.
Right.
So the big rumours going around were, well, they didn't even do it together, they didn't. But which in fact they did. But I heard recently. But
right. You'd have thought they'd want to get that incredible atmosphere that they create between them.
Yeah.
They couldn't have done that.
I mean, yeah. No, it would be very difficult, I think. Yeah. But so yeah. But it was, But Luther was a great. But I did that in the middle of. I was shooting Hustle. I was in between series of Hustle at the time.
Right.
I did that as well.
Yeah.
So that was, and Hustle obviously was a big deal.
Yeah. How did that all come about then?
Well, it was Di Carlin who cast the original series. And she'd also cast. Her and Sam worked together quite a lot, and so if Sam wanted me in something, then Di would be casting it, like she did the film and stuff. And although I don't think she did Luther, but she cast the first series of Hustle anyway. Right. And I know I could tell she was sort of gunning for me, but that was weird because it was when it started, that character was sort of eminently dispensable, and it was quite, there was very little to do really in the first couple of series, and I was just grateful for the work, but it did sort of build a bit. Which I was sort of pleased about. As the series went on, it became a little bit more important.
You were sort of the sixth member without being so, but you were like the glue. You were like the continuity and the fun. Yeah,
there was a comedy thing going on there, wasn't there, as well? Which was everyone likes to take the piss out of an idiot, really, and I'll do that job.
The guys that you work with, Adrian and Marc, obviously you must have got on with them extremely well. Was there someone that you particularly bonded with, or was it always a team thing? How were the dynamics?
Yeah, I mean, it was always the dynamics sort of changed about halfway through, really. Because Marc, he did the first 4 series. Marc and Jamie, who played the Danny and
Stacey, I think. Stacey,
that's it. Yeah, Stacey. But they left after series 4, and then when Matt and Kelly came in, with absolutely no disrespect at all to Marc and Jamie. But they brought this energy with them, and I tell you, Matt D'Angelo is one of the funniest human beings I've ever come across. Yeah, God, he's hilarious. We went to he got married recently, and we went to his wedding, which was, I'll tell you something, what a dude that was. But we went to his wedding, so the Hustle crowd, we were there, because we all do keep in touch, and we all meet up, which is really nice, and Matt did his speech, and I haven't seen a stand-up that's made me laugh like that. It was genuinely hilarious. It was brilliant. Yeah, but me and Rob Glenister got on very well, and we used to share cigarettes and the crossword, So that was how we bonded, But he's a great pal, and I love him. I love him very much.
He was up at the theatre recently, wasn't he, with his brother? Not at the Wolsey, no, at the Theatre Royal in Bury St Edmunds. I'm sure he went.
He might have been on tour there with something. Yeah. I mean, it would have been a while ago. Yeah. He never stops working. Right. He's always working. He's always busy.
He's a brilliant actor. He takes the screen. I can't help but watch him. Just can't move away from him. If you know what I mean.
No, he's a terrific actor, Rob. He's great in everything he does. He deserves to be working all the time. He's one of the good guys. Yeah.
So sadly, Hustle had to come to an end, but I mean, we did just love it, and it was a bit sad. And then the last episode was everyone reunited. How did that work out?
Yeah, that was interesting. Because obviously, on set, it did sort of bring a different dynamic, to the room,
Yeah.
But it was great. It was great to see everyone. But it was very sad. I got a lot sadder than I thought I would, when it all finished. And I had to do that. I don't know if you remember the last shot of the last episode is me leaving the bar and turning the lights off. And that was quite emotional, it was, because it had been 8 years of my life, and it had gone through before Charlie being born, and all that. We did the first series just before he was born,
Right. Yeah.
And it was all. So it had been a big part of my life, of all our lives, And it was, and we made some great friends on there. Really smashing people,
Yeah, it's one of those things, isn't it? You just wish it would go on forever, but actually it couldn't.
I don't think it could. I mean, I think the writers were really beginning to struggle because every episode was so convoluted, and it had to be right. You had to get it right. You couldn't start, because audiences won't accept it if they can see holes in things. Of course they won't, No. So, and not that there were any holes in there, but I think the writers were getting to the stage where we're going to start repeating ourselves here. And so I think it finished when it was still popular as well, which is always good. I think.
Top of its popularity. But I think there's always room for one last reunited little moment. Surely they might do one.
That would be great, wouldn't it? Well, there was talk of it at one time of doing like a Christmas special. There was talk of a film, you hear these things all the time, you just write them off until you're doing it,
And of course, I'm going to come on to Emmerdale in a minute, but there are 2 shows that are standing out for me, and you're just going to laugh when I say them. The first one is you actually got to be on Doctor Who.
Yes, I did. Briefly, yeah.
How brief was it?
Oh, it was pretty brief. But fun nonetheless. We were filming up in the Brecon Beacons, and they've got this this fake sort of town up there where the army train, and so they turned that town into this sort of little winter wonderland, which was great. But it was great fun.
Which Doctor were you with?
Nice. Well, I was in the episode that marked the end of Matt.
Oh, Matt. He played Prince Philip. I can't think of his surname.
Yes, him.
Yes, him.
And marked the change from him into
the other one.
Oh, this is terrible, isn't it? He's brilliant. He's that Scottish guy.
Christopher.
In the thick of it. Peter Capaldi.
Oh, Peter Capaldi. Oh, he was in the thick of it.
That's him. It was the change
funniest man.
From that episode, from that Doctor into that one. Yeah. So, yeah.
Right.
It was great fun. It was great fun. I loved it.
Yeah. Because I think everybody, as far as I can see or hear or make out, is everybody likes to be in Doctor Who. Just have that moment. So you had yours.
It is good. And it is, you know what? It is weird as well. It was just, honestly, it was about like 2 little scenes, really. And then, but you get letters from people with photographs of you in it going, can you sign this? And
really?
You know, and and you get asked to do conventions and all that. And I'm like, really? But nobody's going to have a clue who I am. If I say that, they'll be like, the bins are out that way, mate. You know.
Or they ask if you drink. Now, what about...
Well, that's it, yeah.
I forgot to ask you, do people come up and try and play tricks on you like they did in Hustle?
You do get people sort of go, no, hello, you're going to have the piss taken out of you and all that. But no, it doesn't happen that much. It's not on, you know. Well, it is. I suppose it's on somewhere, but, you know, it's not like it was at the time. But I did have a funny thing because I was in 2 pints of lager as well.
Yes.
Right? And this is one time when I got recognised. I thought, oh God. So I was in Liverpool Street Station at the time when the Starbucks, what is now the Starbucks in there, was a pub.
Right.
So I just went in there for a drink while I was waiting for the train, and so I went to the bar, and it was on a Saturday, I remember, and there was a load of football fans in there. So I went to the bar, and this bloke shouted over from the other side of the bar. He went, "Oi, mate!" I went, "Yeah." He went, "You're in 2 pints of lager, aren't you?" I went, "Yeah." He went, "Whack." Oh, great! Cheers, mate.
So what do? You pick your pint up and go and sit in the corner quietly?
I just thought, I really don't know what to say to that one.
Moving on.
Cheers.
Did you actually get to go out to the Caribbean? Because I'm seeing here that you were on... I love this show. Well, I love the varying different parts of this show.
Right.
The one... I'm looking at the list now and I can't see it. What's it called? The one that's filmed in
Death in Paradise.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. Oh, yeah. Got to go out there. Yeah. That was weird because we were on holiday at the time.
Right.
Me and Sal and Charlie, we were in Zanzibar of all places.
Right. Yeah.
And so this job came in. Sort of, we'd have to go to this particular place to pick up emails. You know? Yeah. When we were away, and suddenly this email came in from my agent saying, "Do you want to go to the Caribbean?" And I'm like, "Well, yeah." So I got back. We got back, and I packed another bag, and then flew out to the Caribbean for a couple of weeks. Yeah.
Yeah, nicely tanned already.
He was there for I was there for a sort of long time,
right?
And there wasn't a great deal in it really, but it was a funny old show. Funny old job to do.
Who was the detective when you were in that?
It was Ben Miller. It was
the first.
I think
yeah. Okay.
I think it was the second series.
Right.
I think it was, but it was his last series. But
yeah.
It's funny because it looks amazing on screen. But actually, a lot of the time, it's very overcast there. It's very overcast and very hot, very humid. And so a lot of that, they have to bring in these massive lights, you know, to make it look sunny. So not only have you got the heat of that, you've got this extra heat being chucked at you. But that was it was all right.
It was a thing.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about Emmerdale because I've got to read you this quote. Where was it? Okay, it was on the OK Magazine website. Emmerdale fans go wild as they recognise Rob Jarvis from Hustle. There you go, quote unquote. Do you like it?
Yeah. Yeah. They go wild. Go, what's he doing in it? They've just ruined my favourite show.
So, that was a really a great part, actually. Can you tell us more about that and how it all started and whatever?
Well, it was Jane Hudson, who is the exec producer of Emmerdale. Mm-hmm. She was the producer on the last 2 series of Hustle. Mm-hmm. So that she said, you know, do you want to go on tape for it? So I did a self-tape, and Sal was reading in the other part. And and it came in, and it was 12 episodes. Mm-hmm. And I thought that's sort of perfect, really. Mm. Perfect, not not that I don't want, I think, having done it, if they said to me, do you want to do a bit more? I'd say, yeah, for sure, definitely. Because I had the best time on it. I was very lucky because of COVID restrictions and because of the nature of the show, you're sort of stuck with the people you're in your storyline with.
Yeah. So
you don't really meet anybody else, so, all the regular. I met very few of them. But the person I was working with, Susan Cookson, is the nicest human being ever to walk the planet. She's absolutely great, Sue, and she was so nice and so helpful and so welcoming, and I just loved working with her. So it was it was a joy to work with her, and I had a great time on it. And there's a lot of farting about on when you're filming, and there's it takes a long time. But on this, it's a lot quicker because you're on two cameras most of the time anyway. So that instead of having to pick up one person and then you'll have to move the whole gear, move everything around. They set it up so that you can shoot two actors at the same time.
Yeah.
And that half the amount of time that you film. So it was very good, but it has its downsides in that if you're not up to speed and or you're not happy particularly, it's you do feel a little bit more pressure when you say, do you mind if we go again?
Yeah. Well, at their rate of putting out episodes every week, it must be quite a slick operation.
It is. I mean, it's a very well-oiled machine down there, and it's and again, it's a fantastic place to work because they built this village, in the middle of the Dales, and it's a proper village, effectively. You could live there, it's absolutely. And you get there, and it was the summer, and you get there and you think, what a fantastic place to work. What a nice place to come to work. So I had a really good time on Emmerdale. I really enjoyed it.
Oh, well, let's hope. I mean, you haven't died or anything. You're just away, shall we say? Her Majesty's pleasure.
Yeah. No, I haven't died, but I am in prison for attempted murder and kidnap.
Yes.
So I don't think he'll be seeing the light of day for some time. So
you never know. You might be doing something sort of very Noel Coward from inside the prison. No, that sounded wrong, but you know what I mean?
How dare you?
No, how dare you?
Good Lord. Yes, but possibly. Well, you never know, do you? But,
no, you never do. So,
but the Emmerdale fans are. I mean, they hated my character. They really did. So,
right.
Because he was a right bad, and so we'll see. I don't know. They do carry quite a lot of sway, I think.
Yeah, and I just it's that sort of reality versus fantasy too. That people look at you and as a real person, as that character. Have you had any experience of that with this or with anything else?
Luther was a bit weird because that was a particularly nasty character, and I remember going into London the day after it had been out, and there was some people who were very uncomfortable.
Right.
But hilariously, there was one time me and Sal had been somewhere, I can't remember. We were on the train, and this girl came up and said, "You're that guy from Luther, aren't you?" And I said, "Yeah." And she said, "Oh, my boyfriend, he's absolutely terrified. He thought you were really terrifying." So I was like, and he was like, "All right, mate." I was like, "Yeah, you're okay," and all that. And then when we got to get off the train at Ipswich, it went through the tunnel, and it was one of those times when all the lights the lights just went out as we went through the tunnel. So as we pulled into Ipswich and the lights came on, I was looming over him and I went, "Ah!" What's that? He jumped out of his skin. I have to tell you, that was my wife's idea.
Can imagine.
That was my wife's idea. She's vicious. Yeah. But
she is the least vicious person.
It's all going on behind the eyes, you see. You can't see it. But she's got a terrible mind.
Yeah, they're the worst. They are the worst.
Yeah. But yeah.
Right, so gosh, what a lot you've done. Now, voiceover work as well, because you get a lot of that.
I have been, I've been very, very lucky getting because I lucked out with a voiceover agent because there was a guy that I'd worked with, an actor called Gary Love, who you would know, and he was in that play I did at the Bush. And then he then he started directing bits of telly. He's a good director, Gary. And I did a few jobs with him. So I did I did Casualty with him, and I did a thing called Harbour Lights with him. And there was When London's Burning, stuff like that. He was directing that. But I didn't know at the time, but his brother is a voiceover agent, and he was with quite a big voiceover company in London, and he wanted to go on his own. Yeah. So to set up his own agency, and I got a call from him saying who he was and that he was setting up this agency, and would I be interested in, because he'd had a look at some of the stuff that his brother had shot, and would I be interested in coming on their books, And I was like, well, yeah, of course I would. He said, well, look, you're going to need a voice reel. And I said, well, I haven't got one, and I haven't got any money, because they were quite expensive. And he went, well, don't worry, we'll pay for it. And then when you start earning, then we'll just sort of take the money back off that, And I thought,
nice then.
Well, I thought, he's very optimistic. So then the voiceovers really have kept me going over the years, I was doing, it was quite difficult actually, because when we moved to Suffolk, this was in 2003, I was getting an awful lot of voiceover work. So I was in London every day, pretty much. Yeah. And Sal was at home without a job. She was pregnant at the time, and then Charlie came along, and we were in a tiny little house in Woodbridge, and so she was on her own with the baby quite a lot, and I was away from home all the time. I'd go out, I'd leave in the morning, and I wouldn't get back till 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock at night, and so that was. But I'm eternally grateful for the voiceover work that I've done.
What would we recognise you in?
Well, I did do an awful. I don't do them so much these days, but I did do an awful lot of promo work, which is the links between, not the continuity links between shows, but when you see a trailer for a TV show, and it's done like a little film trailer, that sort of thing. Yeah. I did an awful lot of those for Sky, for BBC, for ITV, and Channel 5, and all that. So I did an awful lot of those. But I did. I've done quite a few documentary series. There's a documentary series that I do for Channel 4 called Emergency Helicopter Medics, which I've done quite a few series of that, and I've got a couple more series coming up of that in the new year. So I'm looking forward to that. Yeah.
And they give you
the voices.
They give you the script. Obviously, you're watching a film at the same time.
Yeah, you sit in the studio and you're watching the pictures, and you've got a time code, or you've got an engineer with a little cue light, and then you fit the line into the bit that they've left for it, really. Yeah. So, but then if there's a big bit of film with no voiceover, they'll just skip through it, until you get to the next bit. But it's I enjoy it, I do enjoy those, because I go up to Glasgow for that one as well, which is quite a laugh. So,
right, okay.
They record it in Glasgow. Unusually, but they record in Glasgow. So I get a little trip up there every so often.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I like it. It's good.
Now, obviously, you live in Suffolk now. Why did you move to Suffolk? Because Sally was from here, or
no? Well, Sal, she was a bit reluctant to move here. Because it's it's a bit like going back to your own sort of, what it's like when you left home and you sort of. We decided that when Sal got pregnant, we decided we didn't want to live in London anymore. It was when we lived in in a rented flat in Crouch End, which is very nice, but we'd heard a guy get shot outside our flat, and then, it was stuff like that. And I just didn't want to bring a kid up in that. I didn't want that to be part of his vocabulary growing up. And so we had to pick a place that was, so we sort of did a circle around London, a commutable circle, and it was Sam Miller, actually, the guy who directed Luther and that. And he said, have you thought about Woodbridge? And, so we came and had a look, and then, Sal obviously knew it anyway. Yeah. And we came out and we found a little house, and so we bought our first little house in Deben Road, Woodbridge, and lived there for a couple of years.
Yeah.
And then we moved to Ike and lived in Ike for a bit, and now we're in Melton now. Yeah. Which
lovely Melton.
Very happy here. Very happy in Suffolk. Yeah.
Our daughter lives in Melton. We'll join up on that.
Oh, does she?
Yeah.
Whereabouts?
Well, you're going to ask me that, aren't you? She's literally
Bar?
just moved into a new estate that's been built there, so I'll find out.
Right,
let you know. But
let us know. Yeah, we should meet up and go for a drink or something.
Yeah, you prepare yourself because you'll be out all night.
No, I don't. But listen, I stopped drinking a long time ago. I don't drink alcohol anymore.
Do you not?
Because it was it was getting out of hand. It was sort of, it was wrecking my life really.
Yeah.
And so I stopped a long time ago.
You don't miss it?
No, I don't at all. No.
Yeah, that's brilliant.
Life is so much better without it. Well, I did it first, obviously. It wasn't a walk in the park.
No,
you can ask my wife about that, But it was the best thing I did. Really, was stop drinking for sure. Yeah.
Now it says on your from your agency, it says that you're a baritone. Are you actually a professional baritone, or is that just the pitch that you sing at? That's
just the pitch. I'm not a very good singer. Really. Despite doing quite a lot of shows that have required it, but
I think you're all right.
But no, I get by. You know what I mean? I'm not a great singer. I'm not a great singer by any means.
So what's next?
Music's very important to me.
I think, okay. So let's talk about music just for a second. We're not going to keep you for too much longer, but music-wise, you mentioned punk there. What's your favourite music?
Oh, I love all kinds. I mean, the sort of punk was my sort of introduction to music, really, and then everything came. And when I started playing the guitar, I started to become more interested in different kinds of music. But punk will always be there for me because it was such a big part of my life.
Yeah,
I love rock and roll, and I love country music, and I like good guitar music, really. That's what I like, and anything that's well played, I like it.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Me too. Definitely.
And I'm in a band. I'm in a band locally, and
are you?
We did a lot of gigs at one time, and then for various reasons we haven't gigged for a while, but we're still rehearsing, and hopefully we'll be out there gigging again soon. We're called Doghouse.
I was going to ask Doghouse. Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah. And we're keeping going, and it's great fun. The lads that are in the band are really, my pals from around here now.
Yeah.
They're great. So.
Yeah. Well, we'll look out for when your next billing is.
Doghouse.
Yeah, we will. We're on it.
Probably be in some dreadful pub somewhere, Yeah.
What else are you involved with at the moment?
Well, filming wise.
Well, anyways, I mean, yeah.
Well, I've just done a couple of. There's a thing called Show Trial that's going to be out pretty soon. I think it's out on the 31st. Actually, the first episode. I'm in three episodes of that, which I think is going to be great. And I've done I just done a film for Netflix called Cold Harbour Lane.
Right.
Which was directed and written by a guy that I'd worked with as an actor. He's a fantastic actor. He's a guy called Nathaniel Martello White, and I met him on Collateral. And then we did Collateral, and he was in Gorilla as well. So he's got an awful lot, and he's written this fantastic film. And so just filmed that playing. I had to play a Liverpool supporter in it though, and that's not easy. That's worse than playing a serial killer. So we did that, and then also there's a thing called A Suspect, which is being filmed for ITV at the moment. So I've just done that's for ITV, and that'll be out next year, I think. So, but I'm also I'm also working with Ink Festival at the moment, which is that new writing festival, based in Suffolk, and we're starting a series of writers' workshops for new writers, really, and they get the opportunity they submit a 15-minute script, and then they have it read by a professional cast, and then they get feedback from it. And then they go away and rewrite based on the feedback, and then they have another reading of it. So it's something I'm quite excited about.
Yeah.
Really. That's
Yeah.
and that's with Julia Sourbutt sort of runs Inc. It's her thing, but I'm doing this with Anne Bryson, who's become a really good pal, you know, and she lives around the country. She's a great actor, you know.
Yeah.
And we're involved in this writing project, so that's really interesting, you know. Yeah, and I'm also doing a thing for the National Archive. It's a play called Stranger in a Strange Land, which is about guys coming over from Jamaica in the 20s and trying to find work in Liverpool and having relationships and the struggles that they encountered there. So recording that this week. Yeah. I'm also doing a film as well. I'm doing a really nice little
just
film.
Forgot that bit.
Very low budget. Very low budget.
Right.
Well, it's a terrific script. It's called Cost of Living. Written and directed by a fellow called Ryan Hogan, and this is because it's so low budget. We've had to film it when the cast and the crew and everything are available. But come to the end of that next week, so I've got a little bit to do left on that. But I think that's going to be he's a very smart lad, and he's got a really good eye, I think. Yeah. So hopefully that'll be out next year as well.
Yeah. Oh, that sounds...
So bits and pieces.
Yeah, quite a lot, really, Robbie.
Yeah. No, I'm enjoying it. Do you know, I can't bear not working. I hate it.
Don't we all? Well, listen.
Yeah, it's horrible, isn't it?
Right, so we've got lots to look forward to watch you in. Good, and I hope the Ink Writers Festival goes well. I presume they're all promoted on Facebook and what have you, so go along or follow that as well. Well, thank you so much, Robbie. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you.
Oh, it's a pleasure talking to you too. Yeah, thank you very much. I hope people listen to it.
They will. Maybe just the once. No, I'm just kidding. I think it's brilliant. Yeah. It's absolutely fantastic. Thanks, Robbie. That's awesome.
It's a pleasure. Really nice to talk to you.
Thanks. All right. Well, no doubt we'll see you again soon.
Hope so.
Yeah, maybe at the Jack and the Beanstalk guest night. Might you be coming to that?
I'll be there. Yeah, I would have thought so. Yeah, hopefully. Yeah.
All right. Well, it'll be then or another time. Take care. Thanks a lot.
Great.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers.
Thank you. Bye.
Cheers, Zanna. Thanks a lot. Bye.
Thanks for listening to the Suffolk Pod Show. Find us on Facebook, Twitter or Instagram, or you can visit our website, podtalk.co.uk. And here's our disclaimer.
The Suffolk Pod Show will not be held responsible for any omissions or errors in its podcast.
The Suffolk Pod Show is produced purely for entertainment purposes. Views and opinions are that of our own or that of our guests.